order
Go ahead.
at 6:30 p.m. Recognition of the public would be Lieutenant Tim Oliver from VSP, Rob Hendricks, Don Spencer from Ruck, and Ian Keel from VCTV, and the rest of the board members. Welcome. Rules and procedures are right down there underneath the clipboard if anyone is interested. New additions to the order, and that would be Don Spencer of Ruck. We're going to move you right up to the top when we begin the new business now.
Very good, thank you.
Is there any changes to the agenda order? Seeing none. I would like to ask for the approval of the minutes for the special meeting on October 24th and the regular meeting on October 24th.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, we better do this.
You gotta do that. Hearing a motion and a second. Do I have all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna abstain because I wasn't there.
Neither one of us was, Gabby.
Alright, so Dick and Gordon, there are these 2 minutes,
Along with the approval of minutes, there was a special meeting on November the 7th. And I would like to ask for a motion.
So I just want to add one thing, because I abstained from that vote, and I just want to clarify, because it wasn't in there why I abstained, and it was because I wasn't afforded any opportunity to meet the candidates. So I just want to have that added in, just to clarify my abstention.
Okay.
so I will have this ready for people to sign tomorrow. Okay. So we will not sign this.
So
Well, we
go ahead, we can move it.
Don't move.
Do I have a motion to sign?
So I'll make a motion to sign the November 7th meetings with my addition.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Got the approval of the minutes.
So, as Gabby, you were saying you were not,
Afforded the opportunity to meet any candidates. I don't even think I just did it for fun.
well, actually, sorry, I'm just gonna say everybody was invited to participate, so.
Well, but except the meetings were at times I said I couldn't.
Right, so
I
you
mean, that's
were-
all I want to clarify is that that's why I was abstaining.
In other words,
You can't sign that, Dan.
you were bidding out of here just as well. Yeah, you can go
I just
sign
want
it.
to clear why I
Go
abstained.
sign it.
So, who
It's not
seconded it?
right, though.
Gordon seconded it.
No,
Dick
no, I
did.
wasn't, I'm abstaining because I wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, okay.
Dick
those two.
moved, okay, I'm gonna second.
Oh, that's
No.
the motion is made on there, yeah.
So Gabby moved to sign with her addition. She's not afforded opportunity to meet any candidates, so she abstained. You moved to accept the minutes. I'm
Right.
seconding. The two of us, we don't have,
You can,
You-
you
you were
can.
there.
I wasn't there.
no, this is a special meeting.
Yeah,
It was
it's not
you,
a
me, and
meeting.
Gabby.
Yeah, three of us.
No, I wasn't at the meeting with Gabby.
Oh, that's right, you were gone.
No, it was
this
you,
something?
you,
It's
Dick,
the
and
three of
Gabby.
you.
Okay, so what do we do? All in favor?
All
Yes.
in favor?
Aye.
Me and Gordon stays the same because neither one of us was.
Okay, so, but I still have to amend them before we sign.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
So
And then
be
these two
ready,
signed?
it'll be ready for signature for you three tomorrow.
Yeah.
On to new business. Mr. Spencer.
I would like to bring up a thank you note from Ruck. We did the boot drop, as you all know. Most of you stopped down and said hey to us at one point. And we earned about $1,800,
Nice.
which is very significant for us since we are totally nonprofit. I mean, literally, we contributions the only way we keep the doors open. So this is a great addition for us, and thank you for your help and your support.
We appreciate it and we're glad we can help, Don.
Very
As a veteran myself, I appreciate all what you do.
No, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good to see you. See you soon.
All right.
Thanks, Don. We'll see you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Next item is law enforcement contract, Lieutenant Timothy Oliver, BSP. Sheila, could you
Yeah,
introduce?
I wanted
please?
to just introduce this by saying that this summer, two things happened. We changed the policing contract in Guilford from Windham County Sheriff's Department to the Vermont State Police. And that took effect in July, so July, August, September, October, now November. So we've got 4 months of history. And the second thing is that during the summer, we heard complaints about speeding, particularly on Guilford Center Road. And so I thought this evening was a good opportunity to address the new contract and also what you have observed in that process, So please.
Sure. So once again, Tim Oliver, Station Commander, Westminster. For those who I think everybody knows now, Brattleboro and Rockingham were consolidated. We now have the Westminster Barracks up and running. Bunch of hiccups along the way, but here we are. So yeah, the contract's up and running. We and forgive me because we have 9 contracts in 25 towns that I cover now. So I did get information about the complaints, and we do what we assign the sergeants, and I assign what's called the directed patrols now. So anytime we get a complaint, we'll assign a trooper. There's one past me on the way up here actually. So he'll run a directed patrol up and down the problem areas. So the main thing we can do to facilitate better police coverage, speed enforcement, traffic enforcement, I should say, is just let us know when and where. You folks, you're gonna see it a lot more than we are. So let us know where and when you have issues, and then we'll assign troopers accordingly. Obviously, we have the 2 shifts, the day shift and the night shift, and we'll make sure that we use the manpower and our resources as best as we can to combat the speeding. We also have 2 speed carts, solar-powered speed carts. We can lay those out anytime you want to, wherever you feel it's necessary. Those speed carts are smart speed carts, so they can download information, let us know when the heavy volume of traffic and or speed is occurring, and then we can adjust accordingly to that as well. So I'm sure you folks got the stats from October and the months before.
No, we only have September and August and September. We didn't get an October.
I got one right here for you.
And I don't think we have July either. So what we have on file are August and September.
I will
Well,
get you
August-
July and October then.
Yeah.
Not a problem at all. So pretty fairly quiet, I would say. So in the month of October, you had 6 total tickets issued. 2 were for speed, 4 were for miscellaneous traffic violations, $805. LiDAR and radar speed enforcement was performed this month in Guilford Center Road, Weatherhead Hollow Road, and on Route 5. So very, what I would consider uneventful month, per se. And I'm not gonna say that, if I could knock on the wood there, nothing major
So
occurred.
in the 8 hours, excuse me, of service that we have on a monthly basis,
Mhm.
you have observed how many in the 4 months? So that would be 32 hours. 32 hours
Yeah.
of traffic enforcement. You have observed how many speeding?
I only have October's, I didn't bring, that's what I was asked to bring, so I didn't bring the other 3
Oh.
months. I can compile that for you and send you an email, but in the month of October, there was 8 tickets issued, 2 were for speed, excuse me, 6 issued, 2 for speed and 4 for miscellaneous traffic violations. I apologize, I didn't bring the other months, I'd
Can
be
you-
able to.
Could I give you these and you could tell us which ones
Sure.
are speeding and which ones? This is August and September. And I don't know that we have July on file yet.
So September, you had a total of 6 tickets as well, 2 for speeding, 4 for miscellaneous, for a total of $826 a violation. One was for an SPV, which is starting a parked vehicle, which is someone was spinning their tires. So they should have got numerous tickets, driving like an idiot if they did in front of a trooper. And then another one for V&I, which is vehicle not inspected. That was September, 8.75 hours were worked. LiDAR, and does everybody know what LiDAR is? Laser. So it's very accurate. You can point the laser beam several hundred yards away and you can hit it on the license plate. And it works very well further distances than radar will work. And also, if you have 3 or 4 cars coming at you, you can pinpoint it. Much more accurate than radar. Radar will pick up the largest object. So if a tractor trailer is coming at you and a little GT Mustang's going by, you're only getting the tractor trailer. LiDAR, you can pick up the exact car. So both of those details were run in the month of September. That was on Guilford Center Road, Weatherhead Hollow Road, and Route 5. Troopers also patrolled the area of the school during school recess. So, and that's something I require to my troopers as well, as every trooper that works day shift is assigned to town, and they have to randomly enforce school openings and closings. when available.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like tonight, I don't know why. Oh, it's a full moon, that's why. I was driving down here, I knew what it was, it's a super moon. So my troopers are running ragged right now. I have 6 troopers on and they're all at a call right now. So for the month of August, we worked 6.25 hours, 4 different patrols. Weatherhead, Bennett, Guilford Center, Stage, River, Carpenter, Butternut, and School Street. There was only 1 ticket issued. It was for an expired registration. That was for $162. Also had a loose animal on Weatherhead Hollow Road and a welfare check that we performed. Loose
Okay.
horse, yeah.
So you have 4 speeding tickets in 3 months of reporting,
4 speeding, but a total of
12,
13.
13. Yeah.
6 and 1, but we don't know because we don't have the, what'd you say, July stats as
Yeah,
well?
I don't have July.
Yeah, so if I had July, I mean, probably 4 or 5 more. And that doesn't mean warnings, also. A lot of these are report, yeah, so there's 3 warnings in, October had 3 warnings. 7 warnings in Guilford.
Speed warnings?
Yeah, it just says warnings, it doesn't
Oh,
say
we
what the
don't
warnings
know.
are for, yeah. I'd have to do research on those.
Okay. So is it unreasonable to say that because a group of citizens were very concerned about speeding in certain areas that we are interested to know if, how much speeding is going on, or if it's if it's real or imagined?
No,
Is there a way
if you give me specifics of where you wanna know and what times you wanna know, I can have troopers sit there and run radar and we can see if it's real or imagined.
So
Yeah.
One of my questions was, were we able to get some data? I mean, because you talked about sort of the mobile sort of speed
Well, we haven't-
detectors, but we haven't been able to do that over here.
I
Do we have-
didn't know it was even requested to do a speed
I
card.
believe a trooper tried to put one in
Well, I was
at
just
the
wondering.
location.
Right.
No, at the location, and the homeowner didn't want
Right.
it
Yeah,
there,
yeah.
so.
Well, I was just wondering if we
But
found a
that's-
different place, because that was when I was going
The
around,
one
I
that
never
complained about the
passed
speed
by.
didn't want the car to hit.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know if it's ever been requested since.
Hold on a second, Dick. Hold on.
Yeah, there were like 3 people
Yeah, there's 3
talking.
people talking. The homeowner didn't want it put right there at the area around his home. So that was kind of deterred that, from what I
Right.
recall. So if we want to set the card up again, that might be something what we want to look at.
Right, I think we found another location, so I think maybe we need to follow up with you on the locations and the alternate location for one of those smart speed signs that would download the data.
That's the only kind we use now are the smart ones. The other ones are outdated. We turn them back in. But if you say, you have my email obviously, so send me an email,
Right.
tell me where you want it and I'll have it set up as soon as I can.
Okay.
Can I ask a question? No, these are data collecting boxes, so you know, like times of day.
Absolutely.
Yeah, pretty
And they have
cool.
specific speeds.
Right, gotcha.
And they have cameras that take pictures of the cars.
Oh. You're right.
Civil liberties will be all over that.
So, I'd like to ask another question about those. So those could go, how long would you,
They're solar powered.
they're solar
Keep
powered?
them there as long as we want. They have to be able to be secured via chain and a padlock because they're $7,000 each. So
Right, and so,
We just have to take that into consideration where we put it.
how many do you have to deploy in all your towns?
2.
2. So would we be in a waiting list for those?
You're right at the top of the list. The first one. I'm gonna pull some favors for you. Londonderry has the other one that they're the same thing, but yeah, we'll get one out here.
It's getting to be about that time of year that you use them up there in that
Yeah,
area.
it is,
Yeah.
it is, yeah, unfortunately.
Great, now I thought we had expressed an interest in those signs, so I will follow up.
Do you know who is?
No, I'll check on it.
Yeah, we just go through, yeah, that's easiest.
I think this hue and cry that we had a couple months ago about speeding in Guilford and the amount of tickets they've given out is, the 2 don't match, but
It's
anyway.
true, but I still think hard data is sometimes,
Yeah.
Because there
More
were
convincing.
allegations about like, oh, they go up to 90 miles an hour. So it'd be nice to know, are people
Well,
speeding at
yeah.
50 or is the 90 really off the table? And then we could sort of say that with some surety.
90's going pretty fast. We don't see that on the highway that much. So it's, yeah.
So at least we can give them a range and give them
Absolutely.
some hard information.
Yeah, we can compile, we can do it for 2 or 3 weeks, or when's your next meeting?
It's in 2
20
weeks.
2 weeks, yeah, we see, well, I'd like to do a little longer than that, but if you wanna do 2 weeks, whatever, we'll do the time frame from it set up to your next meeting, I'll download it and we'll get you the raw data.
That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Awesome.
Anyone have anything else for Lieutenant Oliver?
Thank
I would
you
like
so
to
Thank you.
thank you very much, nice to meet you.
You as well, let me know what you need, you guys got my email, I'm only around for another 3 months, then I head off to Valhalla, so, I'm retiring, my replacement's gonna take over, actually, my replacement will probably take over about 6 weeks. So maybe at your next meeting, if you wanna invite us, I can bring him or her in and they can, start the transition, meet you folks as well.
That's a great
So
idea.
I'll give you those, I'll keep mine, and I will send you July and October.
Thank you very
All right.
much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
It's great to meet you.
See ya, take care.
Next up, GLC Powersmith, Marjorie C. Evans, Green Lantern Capital 252 KW Solar Project. Ralph, please don't be upset with me, but I'm gonna try it. Mina?
Mima.
Maima.
You were close.
Okay.
You know.
The planning commission wanted to be here, but they are unable, so Sheila is actually representing them also.
Okay, great. And which one of you is Sheila? Just
That
so
is
I know.
Sheila.
Hi, Sheila. Yeah, we corresponded.
Yes.
So my name is Ralph Meima. I live in Brattleboro and I cover the southern counties for Green Lantern. And this project was first brought up here by Dan Ingold probably about a year and a half ago. And then it was put on the back burner as we got focused on other projects, and it was only relatively recently resuscitated. What it comes down to in a nutshell is that, and I have copies of this if you want to, in fact I can pass them around, you can keep them.
Yeah.
I can stand so that the camera can see it, but this is the same thing as what I'm going to be pointing at here. So this is Guilford Center Road, and the Evans, Chet and Marjorie's farmhouse is sort of over here. And if you imagine yourself driving from here back toward Algiers, you pass a small pond, and there's basically a small, more or less, hayfield. You can sort of see how it's mowed in this Google Earth picture, where we propose to put a 250, or to be precise, 252 kilowatt AC solar array. A couple of quick things about it. First of all, we have, I guess 10 days ago, issued the 45-day notice. So you were notified, the abutters were notified, Department of Public Service, A&R, and so forth. The second thing is that it is going to be a community solar array as opposed to an investor financed array, and I can talk about the difference. To my knowledge, there is no community array currently in Guilford. There are a couple in Putney, one of the reasons people around here have heard of them, but it's not a common business model, and so we're kind of excited to be taking the first step in this area, and I'll go back into detail on that in a second. And the last thing I just wanted to show you too, because this is something that Sheila asked for. The question came up of, well, how big would this array be compared to the big one that's on the hill, the Tinker Hill or Blanchard Hill array, which is located sort of off the map over here. And so I'm going to pass this around as well. This is not correct in terms of 1 inch would be 80 feet if this were an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. I mean, an 11 by 17 piece of paper. But I'll pass this around, and what this shows is the one on the left is the big array that's already there up above the Blanchard Cemetery. This is what we're proposing. So you can see it's quite a bit smaller.
Proportionately, they are equal, is
Yes,
what
the
you're saying.
proportions are
The
absolutely
page
correct on that.
percentages on it.
You mentioned the small hayfield, you're putting these in.
Yes.
You folks have no qualms at all about taking perfectly good ag land and putting solar panels on it, do you?
Well, we will put arrays where landowners would like to put them and where we can get the legal permission to do so.
Yeah.
You know, that's, different people have different opinions about particular
Now,
pieces
what
of
happens
it.
to that land when the solar panels are gone?
Nothing. The land will be in exactly the same condition as before. Because all we'll do is go in there after 20 or 25 years, we'll pull out the steel posts that are simply driven in the ground, there's no poured concrete, and the soil will be the same soil that was there before.
But it's gonna be contaminated with all that steel and everything else you put in there. Yeah. I'm a farmer, so don't careful where you go there.
There's no contaminants.
So wait, is he done presenting before we start asking
Oh.
questions?
Yeah, that's the last thing I just wanted to mention too is the community solar aspect, which I can sit down to, which is that with a lot of these big arrays, including the one that's across the road from what we're proposing, we have a large investor who comes in and provides debt and equity capital to finance it, to build it. The one that's already there is about a $2 million investment. Being about half the size, this is about a $1 million investment, except on this size, it's not quite as interesting to the big investors. So what we propose to do instead is to sell panels to individuals, just homeowners, small businesses and so forth, kind of like a condominium where for a particular dollar figure per watt, and we're not exactly done figuring out what that's going to be. You or anybody you know could buy 1 or 2 or 3 or 10 panels on the array and actually own them and be able to use 100% of the tax credits and 100% of the net metering credit value over the lifetime of the array. And so, some people I've already spoken to have indicated some interest in this. But that's what a community array is as opposed to an investor financed array.
Would you require a commitment in time, number of years on that type of arrangement?
Well, it's not a lease, it's a purchase, so you own the panels for as long as they're good.
I got you.
You could sell them to somebody else, but it's not a rental or a subscription, it's actual ownership of the panels.
Can I ask just what happens to the project if maybe there's not enough interest in, a quarter of the panels only get commitments?
We are only going to build it if the whole thing is subscribed. We're not gonna, we wouldn't go ahead if we could only sell a quarter of the panels, and I believe that there will be sufficient interest. I'm trying to see, there are 972 panels. So part of my job for the next few months will be to go around and figure out if there is demand for it.
And it looks like, and correct me if I'm, because there's sort of an overlay over the topography, that it seems like there's sort of they start at the peak and sort of go down the backside of a hill. Am I accurately reading the map?
Well, they won't be all the way up at the peak of that hill.
Okay.
The hill continues up a little bit above the edge of those. But yes, it basically will go down the topography down toward the east. And then there's a row of trees there at the top of bank, with Broadbrook being over here to the right. And because of the shading, we can't extend them any further than about here. And then this is the power line right here.
Okay. And so will they be visible from the road?
Well, that's something I was trying to figure out. I was actually over here on Saturday, and if you look at these pictures across the top, I'll tell you what you're looking at, and they're the same as on your paper there. The first one is, I stopped my car just north of the entrance to the gravel road that goes to Harry Evans' sawmill, and then walked along the road a little bit and sort of climbed up on the wall there by the road. And I shot that picture looking up toward power lines. And I think that if you're driving, but if you stop and you climb up onto the wall by the road and look up there, you'll be able to see some of them. But if you look at well, I didn't include that picture here, but the thing is, if you sort of went toward the power lines and crossed underneath them, and then looked up this hayfield more or less toward the north, what you would see is the middle picture, and yeah, you'd be standing right on the edge of the array there. But if you went further up to sort of the middle of the field and turned around, you would see that the land kind of rises and then dips down toward the road and the pond. So what we will do is we won't. Our application for a certificate of public good, which we intend to submit sometime in late December will include an aesthetic study with a sightline analysis from an aesthetics consultant that we use. And he'll be able to tell you much more specific information about what sight lines you can see the array from, where you can't see it from.
Rob?
Ralph, I have a question. I actually walked out in this hayfield here, and your middle picture and the picture on the far right, the middle picture, the mound of trees on the left, I think, is the same mound that goes right out to the edge of the road. Is that correct?
It does, yeah, on the left.
Right, and so from your drawing here, it looks like you are taking in that hayfield and then extending farther down towards the brook. Is that true?
Well,
Or are you cutting some of that hillside off? I can't tell from the...
There will be some limited cutting into the slope here.
So they will cut into the trees a little bit.
Yeah, there will be some trees going up that slope. There's some
Right.
there's some thinner vegetation, but I don't think we'll get into any of these white pines that are up
Yeah.
on top or on the
The
other
white,
side.
pines are probably, I don't know, about 20 feet deep. They're not that deep, I don't think. So the majority of the trees are behind that. I guess I personally am concerned about the aesthetics.
Mhm.
And my wife and I have a piece of land to the west that is high and looks down on all these solar things. And, you know, the reflection, the whole 9 yards, it can be quite a distraction.
Oh yeah.
And that's, I was here just to hear your informational pitch
Mhm.
and to, you know, try to understand the aesthetic impact that things like that have. Now, I certainly am in a minority. I think there are like 2 or 3 people up on this hillside that it would affect.
Mhm.
So it's not exactly a huge,
The Browns, they'll obviously be able to see it.
who?
Browns. Now, Nancy Ashworth, that lives, well, on that, across from Henry Pratt's there.
Uh-huh.
But that's right, dead direct view of them, behind those pine.
Okay, hold on just a second, Dick. Sheila.
I think the aesthetics of the existing, you know, solar panel installation were far more shocking than I think they were reported to probably be when they were being proposed. And, I mean, that's my impression. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my impression. And so, because the aesthetics seem to have turned out differently than originally conveyed, I just wanted to make sure to understand the aesthetics here so that we're not, again, surprised after the installation goes in.
Mhm.
So, that's all.
Sheila?
I mean, I think it's a very important consideration, aesthetics. I up until recently was in real estate, and I saw many people put in solar installations without thinking and take away the aesthetics of their property when they could have put it in the back pasture instead of the front pasture. And I just think that it's, as we go forward, I'm totally for solar, I believe in it, but I just think it has to be done quite responsibly and thoughtfully for the aesthetics. And I have one more question. Dick was mentioning that, are these only good for like 25 years, these panels?
Well, they're guaranteed for 25 years.
Uh-huh.
They probably could be used for 30 to 35.
Yeah. And, well, who knows what they'll do down the road, but I mean, you would think that with all the steel pipes and posts there, you'd revamp it and keep going. I don't know.
I guess that would be probably something that would be considered by whoever owns it at
Yeah,
that time.
whoever owns it, okay. All right, thank you.
So,
May I make just one quick response? My understanding is that in this location, it would be impossible along this line of white pines
Mhm.
because of the fact that the land rises and there are these thick white pines there. You would not see the array from
Right.
this direction.
Right.
You know, unlike the one down by the Blanchard Cemetery, which is really up on a bluff, sort of overlooking the road. This is
Mhm.
down mostly in a depression and surrounded by trees.
Right.
There are also trees at the north end of it. Most of those are hardwoods, so they don't have leaves on them currently. And when I was walking around in that field, you know, I could see a number of houses through the trees and
Mhm.
up on the hill. So I could certainly understand that there might be some visibility issues.
I think you might see it going east, you know, going towards the Guilford Selectboard store.
Going this way.
Yeah, going that way.
Yeah.
That's where I feel like the greatest exposure is gonna be. And again, I'm an isolated case because we have some property to the west and it's high on a hill, so you're looking down on all this.
Mhm.
And it's gonna be unavoidable, but, you know.
Well, you know what I will say is that you're not technically in a butter, but you're somebody who's in the view shed.
Yeah, I think I'm in a butter. I got the letter in the mail.
Okay, well
But
then you're
I'm in a
butter.
butter, but it's on the complete other side of the Evans property. So,
Well, because the Evans property is so big, there are a lot of butters.
yeah,
And so you are entirely in your right to, either email me or write us a letter or something and explain this.
mhm.
And it's, we quite routinely put up rows of screening trees, like evergreen arbor vitae,
Right.
for example. That's certainly something we would consider as part of the plan,
Right.
especially because it's.
And I actually thought that was one of the criteria of the existing one that's above the Evans house, was that arborvitae or something was gonna be installed. Now, it's all
That's what I-
hearsay on my part, so I don't know if that's actual fact, but.
Yeah, I didn't work on that project.
Yeah, okay.
I think that they plan to grow vines on the fence. That's.
Yeah, okay. Anyway, I guess my problem is that it hasn't turned out the way expectations were originally considered.
I see.
And that's why I'm concerned about this one, just in asking your questions, and thank you for answering so nicely.
I'll give you my card and then I'll follow up.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Rob, I think that Rob has raised a number of concerns which are reflected in the community at large, which we hear both as select board members, but also the planning commission hears. I think there is great disappointment in town on the two solar projects that are along Guilford Center Road already, because there was a newspaper article last July in which both owners basically said there will be no aesthetic impact.
No.
And there is very clearly an aesthetic impact in addition to Dick's concern about agricultural land. Now, I know that the project above, Tinker Hill project is on land that wasn't used for 30 years.
Yeah.
I don't know about the land on the Evans farm. But so now you have a community that is a little gun shy of solar projects, no matter how supportive they are of solar energy. And so you're coming in fourth project this year.
Fourth.
Yeah, because there's one
Fourth.
down on,
There's one down on the
By 91.
Brattleboro Guilford line.
Strat-
Oh, the.
so that
the
has,
Franklin farm?
that literally, no.
The jump up above GS Precision.
Oh, of course.
So that
They did.
has
That's what
little
it
or
was.
no impact on people living in Guilford and going up and down the road every day. But the projects that can be seen from somebody's bedroom or somebody's house, or, blinding, really bright glare from a 500 kilowatt panel, project is not insignificant to people's perceived quality of life and the value of where they're living and stuff like that. Not to mention the sort of general environment in Guilford that so many people appreciate. So the planning commission is trying to figure out how to become an interested party in this. When you talk about doing an aesthetic survey in December, that sounds like it's almost after the 45 days, so I'm not sure how that will impact people's ability to be interested parties or to weigh in on this project or the town's stake in this project. And in a minute, I'd like an answer to that question. And the other thing is on decommissioning. If you sell these panels to individual owners, what responsibility does GLC have to be responsible in decommissioning these units as their useful life
Diminishes.
thank you,
Yeah.
goes away, expires.
Yeah, that's a very good question. The thing is that the array is owned by a special legal entity, an LLC, that's set up to basically make sure it keeps operating, take care of operations and maintenance, and to decommission it ultimately. And I'd have to get back to you on the specifics of that.
Because I understand that decommissioning, the whole process for decommissioning needs to be built into a 1 million kilowatt project, but not, there's no point at which a decommissioning process is required or stipulated if the projects are smaller than 1 million kilowatts.
I've never heard that, because all of our land leases with landowners and our solar services agreements with power purchase customers include a whole section on decommissioning.
But is it,
We are
can you be regulated?
contractually obligated to decommission the project.
And if you don't, is there any,
Well,
I mean, are there any?
it'd be breach of
Consequences?
contract and we'd end up in a legal suit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
if it's
that's like
built, but-
25 or 30 years down the road, you know?
Right, but I think what Ralph is defining anyway, what I'm hearing is the company builds in a decommissioning piece to their projects. I'm not sure it's regulated by the federal government to do that.
I mean, the Public Service Board, I would assume, is gonna approve this plan, so the state has some sort of an interest. I guess,
Of course, that
I
makes
guess my
sense.
question, is this prime agricultural land?
It's not actually
It's
primary
80 a year.
agricultural, so
It's not, but it's not prime
it's
agricultural
not
land.
mapped as primary.
And there's no other wetlands, any sensitive species or rare species or anything that's in that area that could be disturbed? Or like habitats, like corridors?
No. I mean, we've gone through that whole process with our biologists, and, done the wetlands delineation, and, because it's a hayfield, it managed to get a rare, threatened, and endangered species waiver. And it's well away, it's well outside of the mandatory buffers from wetlands. The top of Bank is actually this line of trees here, and then there's a whole lower sort of floodplain before you get to Broadbrook, and so it's well away from that.
I have another question, but it's for Sheila, really, is can the planning commission seek to be an interested party without our consent?
I don't know. They actually wanted to invite you to their meeting next Monday at the same time here, same place, to do, to hear the same thing. There was nobody able to be here tonight from the planning commission.
And do you know why the planning commission chose not to have zoning regs in the current town plan? 'Cause that's.
There's no zoning.
I know, that's my point, like, they chose not to, I mean, the town as a whole doesn't have any zoning regs.
So this
Which would
is,
suggest that the town as a whole is okay with people doing whatever they want on their land. So, I mean, I'm just sort of trying to figure out what's in the town plan, what the town as a whole wants, and what individual landowners have sort of have an ability to
Right.
do. I mean, I think they're just tensions that I would like to think about and read the town plan and
You
discuss
have,
more.
you have some good points there. I mean, it's, and here it is again, when we had zoning, what was it, 7 years ago when it all
It
came
was
up?
voted down.
It was voted down.
Yeah.
People want to have the
I
right
did-
to say what they
So,
want to do
you're
with
right.
their land.
I did ask a question about what rights the towns have now about solar, and there is a process, at the previous meeting I was at a few minutes ago, and there is a process you can go through to at least slow the project down. if
And
it's
I'm
not
also a little
acceptable.
concerned that we didn't have, we didn't seek to be an interested party in 3, but now all of a sudden, it's sort of, I just think we should be, think about treating everyone fairly, so it doesn't,
Yeah.
just what we've done in the past and what we need to do in the future and how that actually will affect everyone as a whole, the town as
so
a
can
whole.
I respond to those questions?
I'm just gonna say I'm not necessarily anti-solar when I ask you a question, when I make these remarks, so.
I know, I think none of us are
Yeah.
anti-solar. So the first thing is that this is not zoning, this is a separate issue. I agree with you, and I think a lot of people in town agree with you, that if it's your property and this town is not zoned, you can choose to do what you wish to with it. Secondly, the planning commission, in June of last year, when the town plan was adopted, the town agreed to reevaluate the energy section based on the applications that were going on for the projects right now, and based on new regulations that are coming from the state, to do a whole lot more research. That research is now being vetted by some department in the state of Vermont, and the planning commission is preparing to present its revised energy section, which includes a lot on solar energy, to the town starting in January of this year. That still post-dates this 45-day period. But the planning commission would like to be able to understand as much as possible about this project which is the third or fourth in the town. So we're all learning from our experiences and learning what it means to have no impact or not. And so I think that we have maybe a more critical eye now, and it's just a matter of learning from experience. So there's nothing, I don't know whether they can be an interested party. I think that they can be, and I think that the town can be, and I think that property abutters can be, but we need to figure that out.
I just think
If we want to,
Yeah.
yeah,
We
sorry.
just need to think through, I think, and
Yeah.
making sure we're being fair to everyone. Sorry.
Rob?
I just wanted to mention that there's a rule called 5.100 that is a Public Service Board rule that defines net metering in terms of the whole certificate of public good application process and what constitutes a net meter project and so forth. And that rule has gone through a huge revision. The new version of the rule will go into effect on January 1st. In fact, there's even a hearing in Montpelier this Friday, I guess, at the Public Service Board around the new language. And the new rule, the rule that will start on the 1st of January is, there are a few things that are probably still in flux, but it's pretty much nailed down. What I want to be very clear about is that this project, because we applied for and got the interconnection application into GMP's, or Green Mountain Power's queue, a year ago, and are going to be submitting the CPG application this year. This project falls under the old rule language, which is a lot less specific. It gives us much more leeway. It has much less of a clear role. Citing is much more liberal than the new version of the rule. But I just wanted to let you know that's what this comes in under. However, there is something called Act 174 that has to do with energy citing. And then there's also Rule 5.100. And they will govern all this stuff basically from January 1st going forward. And that gives, that has all of this definition about, what do they call it? Not interested party, but substantial deference. And it creates a whole new relationship between the regional commission and the town planning commissions in terms of certifying town plans, and it's a whole conversation in itself. This project doesn't fall into that, but I would be more than happy to talk to the planning commission, and I would be more than happy to, all of the documents about aesthetics, wetlands, everything else will be in the certificate of public good application, and you'll also receive a copy of that.
Do you have any sense, Ralph, on when the numbers will be out for this and what the proposed sale price would be for these panels?
I think it's going to be approximately $4 a watt. So a panel, which is probably 300 odd watts, would be about $1,200 for one single panel. A small house might just need a couple. A farm might use 20 or 30 or 40. It's going to be somewhere in that range. Might be a little bit better. We're actually just trying to get some of the final cost estimates under control so we can come out with an actual, sales flyer.
Have you done this before, your company, to a community the way you're describing? Or have all the arrays been larger?
Yeah, we have not. Some of our competitors do it on a more regular basis. The one that is further up Guilford Center Road that Sovereign built, Peter Thorell. Peter's got more experience with community solar than we do. There's a company called Sun Common that does it all over the state. So it's a pretty established business model. And we were able to find out pretty accurate information about how to do it. But this will be our first.
Thank you.
This is one of the things the league put out, was encouraging the use of solar panels and renewable or energy efficiency measures on all buildings where appropriate, installing them without detracting from the building structural or design integrity, and ensuring that such measures are subject to existing local building and electrical code and standards. This is a proposal that's going to the legislature. That doesn't really affect that, but I think they're trying to crack down a little bit on solar. And I have to quote a guy who was at the meeting early in the spring, and said the only people making money off these are you guys putting them in. So
Well, also the off-takers.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, to be very honest, I mean, if this is gonna be a community array that's actually owned by people around here,
Yeah.
if we do something that is offensive to the community, people aren't gonna buy panels.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Okay, you said $300 per panel for a normal house?
no, probably about, like I said, $4 a watt times about $300, so
Oh, okay.
that's just the ballpark, about $1,200 per panel.
Okay.
But then, well, it's a good deal, I think. I mean, I'll provide that information very
How long
soon.
does it take to get your financial return if you buy enough to support your house, just say?
The exact payback period is something that's still floating around as we play with the numbers, so I don't want to quote you an exact number right now.
Okay. Do we have any more questions or anything like that?
I know.
I would just like to say that Sheila, I think you recapped a lot of the sentiments I was trying to describe and express very well. And I think, Ralph, if you take anything away from this meeting, nobody's against solar, but, you know, I think that you want to be right up front about the aesthetics.
Mhm.
And I think that's very important that people have felt that it hasn't been a good process up to this point, so.
And I have to agree with Rob on that. Ralph, my wife, born and raised, lived in this town, and we come down Weatherhead Hollow Road, and you see that panel up there. That god-awful thing was their exact words, so, but, yeah.
And that's where I think the aesthetic study should be done, right up front with these, you know, the photos and everything else you've done here. It shouldn't be something that gets brought up during that 45-day process of submitting this. It should be up front so people have a sense right out of the gate what's gonna happen and what it's gonna look like.
We actually have more aesthetic study material, which I didn't bring with me tonight, that was actually done last year,
Yeah,
which will be part of the complete application.
yeah. I guess it's an important feature of any project. And I think I would bring back to your company the idea that it is more than just a little important, it's quite important.
I understand.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Is there anything else, any more questions for me?
And just one comment, I think if my thinking is right, these would be most obvious as you come around that corner from the bridge. You look past the pond, past the sawmill. That's where you see it.
If you pass Weatherhead Hollow and you're heading towards Algiers, you look up on your right.
Yep.
That's about the only way you can see
Right
it.
there by Harry's, if you look right through there behind the sawmill, you can
Right,
probably see
past the
him right there.
sawmill.
Okay.
It's really on the backside of that hill, the
Yeah,
trees, the
it
pines,
is.
the whole thing.
Unless you're up on top.
Yeah.
Up there on top of Melody Hill, Lookout Point up there, you can't,
Right,
Initiation Hill, whatever.
right, Bullock Road, same thing.
Got a lot of difference.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you very much, Rob.
Appreciate
Thank you for your
coming in.
time and feel free to keep all those.
I'm probably
Thank
in
you
touch
for your
with you to make
support.
sure I got some
Thanks,
of the
Rob.
notes right.
Oh, sure.
Tonight.
Don't
I'll
hesitate.
probably be in touch with you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I want to make sure I give you a card.
Ralph.
No, he said we could keep them.
You might want this for next week.
That's what I was, or you.
I'll take it.
Moving on with Radiological Emergency Preparedness Sub-Grant. Sheila?
Yeah, well, you do a nice job.
So, a few weeks ago, November, no, when was that? A few weeks ago, I'm talking to you now in my capacity as interim emergency management director.
Fancy
for
words.
clarifying that for us.
Title, boy.
Well, I think you're the one who threw that one at me.
Yeah, I know.
So a few weeks ago, there was a meeting with the Vermont Department of Public Safety and the Division of Emergency Management and Homeland Security, in which they announced that the 6 EPZ towns were eligible for a sub-grant that is a radiological emergency preparedness sub-grant. And the idea is that we would continue to be prepared not just for radiological emergencies, but also for all hazards. And that in preparing for all hazards, we would be even more competent to deal with radiological emergencies. And so the 6 towns, maybe just the 5 towns, are invited to submit grant applications for $15,000 for the fiscal year ending 2017, June 30th, 2017, which for us means a 5 to 6 month period that we would have to spend this $15,000, and then 2 subsequent fiscal years of $15,000. I worked pretty closely with the fire department to come up with a grant application. And the grant application includes personnel, contract services, equipment, training, mileage, and stuff like that, and one other category I can't remember. And I tried to spread this out, to figure out for the next 3 years what we might need, what we might be able to spend now, and what we might be able to spend in the next 2 years. This is a reimbursement grant. We don't get the money up front, so we apply for the grant. We probably get it, and then we need to substantiate all expenses. And we've looked at it in terms of generators, radios, satellite phones, training, better internet service at the Grange, at the fire department. And I went and presented the sort of draft of the grant application to the trustees of the fire department last Monday. They were very happy to have this level of cooperation between the town and the fire department. And Jared was extremely cooperative in helping me get pricing on things and specs for things and stuff like that. So what I need tonight is authority to sign the grant application as your chair, because it's due on Thursday, Friday.
So with that,
Hold on, I have a question.
so with that said, is there any more questions on this?
So it's due on Thursday. When would we hear back whether or not we got the grant?
Pretty soon, because they know that we have, the money's already been granted to the agencies.
State.
Yeah, so they have this money. They are just encouraging the towns to apply for the grants, and they know that we only have a few months to spend it in this
So they're wanting
15,000.
to,
And they don't want to lose that money, yeah.
And then our new town administrator will be the administrator of the grant and keep track and do the reimbursements and all of that? Or?
So one of the things that's built into the grant is town time to administer the emergency grant. Yes.
Awesome.
so with that said, do I have a motion?
Just need a second, I'll add to what Sheila just said.
Sheila said, I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any more discussion?
I'm sorry.
The past 3 years, VY and emergency management folks in Montpelier, Waterbury have been hammered pretty heavy about it's a state mandate for town to have an EMD, and why not fund them in some way? Thankfully, VY comes through with another 3 years, but at the end of that, we hopefully, by that time, will hammer out some way so that if the EMD do get a stipend of some kind,
Yeah.
it is a state mandate. That's all.
Is there any more discussion?
So let me just say, that, Dick, to your point, I talked to the fire department and also looked at our own budget in terms of what happens at the end of 3 years.
Yeah.
How can we, what do we need in terms of contract services? What might we need in terms of personnel? And we will learn from this experience, I think, more than we learned in the previous 3 or 4 years.
And we've been trying to get the state to fund it for quite a while.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to old business. Town administrator. Sheila. Boy, you're right on the back of that horse
She
tonight,
is.
ain't you?
Administrator.
I hope your
Oh
doggone
yeah, so
spurs are
my role as
wandering in.
interim town administrator.
Do we need a lot of discussion on that, or just make a motion and go?
I just wanted to, I thought it might be useful to review for the entire board and also for whomever watches this, that we had a process that we set out in October. I think when you were chairing that meeting. So
Yeah,
maybe
buddy.
the end of September or the beginning of October, about the search process, about the recruitment, the hiring process, and I think I want to thank Dick and Gordon and Ann Ryder for being enormous helps in this process. We had several qualified applicants. I checked into, I think 5 or 6, either personally or online, and I brought 2 candidates to the search committee, and I shared with everybody on the select board the resumes a lot of the resumes that came in, the resumes that we were actively considering, the interview notes, and the reference notes for the finalist candidates. Gordon, Dick, Ann, and I met with the finalist candidates after I had done some of the initial screening. Other people were invited to participate. It didn't work out with everybody's schedules for different reasons. And the search committee unanimously selected 1 candidate. We then called a special select board meeting, and there were 3 of us there. And I made the mistake of thinking that we had a quorum at the meeting, but we didn't have a quorum of the select board members. So we needed 3 to vote, and as Gabby mentioned earlier, she abstained because she had not met our finalist. And so we now have a chance with a full quorum to have a motion to hire.
I think we should do this in executive session.
I think this is a straight up or down, hire the person or not.
We're
think
just hiring
You're just
them.
hiring them?
That's it.
All the other
So
discussions
we're,
have been.
along to add with that, Sheila, myself and Gabby met with the person that you got, the subcommittee selected and everything like that, and about a half an hour. I felt very comfortable coming out of there and everything like that. So, with that said, I'm gonna be looking for a motion
So moved.
to hire Richard, to hire Peter Rude as the new town administrator effective 11/15/2016.
So moved. Did you put a name in there, did you?
They
He did.
Oh, okay.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Sorry.
You're supposed to say that before.
Sorry. All right, one more thing.
And next thing will be Wyndham Solid Waste Management fiscal
I don't
year
know why I said I was gonna take
18
notes tonight.
budget. Sheila's had a
So-
headache since Thursday. Sorry. I'll do it. You don't even know.
So,
So,
please update us.
we had, in our last meeting on October 24th, we talked about our arrangements with Wyndham Solid Waste, and we agreed that we wanted to go with 2 of the possibilities that were presented to the select boards in the district. Our choice as a select board was no MRF, no recycling facility, and to change the assessment to 50% population, 50% grand list. And in return for our current $28,000 to $30,000 of fees, we realized that what we get from this arrangement with Wyndham Solid Waste is the outreach and education to schools and businesses. We have collection locations available in the town or the district, and we have 4 hazardous waste days a year. That's the benefits for what we spend on this budget. So I had written to, after this meeting, after our meeting, I wrote to the chair of the Board of Supervisors and asked which motion was going to come first. Was it going to be the assessment motion or the fee motion? Because it actually made a difference in how you voted one way or another, because there was the range of fees depending on which assessment. What they did was, so then I went to the meeting on November 10th, last Thursday, and what the Board of Supervisors did was combine the 2 issues of assessment, reorganizing assessments, and the actual MRF, no MRF, into one motion, which was debated up and down and complicated by the fact that on Thursday, the 10th, the head of the Board of Supervisors tried to figure out yet another structure for changing, for charging fees, which was MRF and a 20% surcharge on some towns, I can't even remember, transfer station towns.
Yeah.
So this was all in the paper, I think Monday morning, and Troy was on speakerphone because I was allowed to go there and ask questions and talk but not vote because I'm not an authorized person. So Troy and I are texting back and forth and he was voting. The vote was for existing operations with a 20% surcharge on transfer station towns. And that means that Guilford would now pay, instead of $30,000, $28,758 for the next year. That vote passed 15-9, so it wasn't an overwhelming majority. What surprised me though is that Brattleboro voted in favor of it, because they were.
Yeah.
But they were at the meeting.
They were, totally, yeah. So there's a public hearing on Tuesday, December 5th, where people can go and protest, and they will take or weigh in however they want to, and the Wyndham Solid Waste will take into consideration the comments that come up at the
Is it
public
the
hearing.
5th or the 6th?
I think it's the 5th. It's the 6th, I'm so sorry.
6th.
December 6th, thank you, at 5 PM at their facility at Old Ferry Road. And it is a
That's
public
a fairly
hearing.
small place.
It is.
You wanna know who they get?
Yeah, nobody. Because I went to the public hearing last year. So, right now, we've weighed in, we don't have much, we have nothing more to say about it other than to show up at the public hearing and if people.
So essentially what I said to Sheila, I said, what the Board of Supervisors sent out to the select boards as a budget,
Wasn't,
what their representative should have brought back, like our representative brought back to us. And we voted on what we wanted our representative. When they went to vote, if they took it back to their school select boards, they changed it all around, essentially. So my suggestion was today to Sheila, when I came in, I stopped in, I said, and I think I may have said this to Gabby, I think we get with our representative, the Franklins, maybe the Goodenoughs, we look at pulling out of this place. Because they're running in the
I don't
the
disagree
red.
with you.
They are
I think
running in
it's
the
a
red
discussion
so much
we ought to have.
that they can't even give the towns a budget to vote
I
on.
agree with you.
Let me just ask Sheila one more time, what was passed? The actual vote, the motion that was passed, because there's a lot of
Is the
different
20%,
options
the
going
only
on.
thing I heard in that, or I read, was a 20% surcharge on
So
the
we
actual
will-
transfer stations that
Exactly.
exist.
So
So
is it MRF or no MRF?
It is
or-
MRF.
It is
as
MERS.
It
we
is
know
existing
today.
operations, with, so MRF and whatever, and a 20%, but our fees would go from
They go down slightly
Minimally.
because.
They go down about $2,000.
minimally, yeah.
The
And we don't
transfer
have
stations are
actually
going up.
receptacles in
No.
Guilford.
No.
No,
So we're not actually using that
No.
part of our existing options.
although the way Cheryl, at least the way I interpreted what she said, is we as Guilford residents can go use
Any box.
Yeah, we
the
can-
Brattleboro
yeah, yeah.
box
Vernon,
Because,
as a part of this
Right.
agreement.
That's
If
because-
we were
yeah.
not a part of that agreement, I don't think we'd have the option
can't.
to
correct,
do
we
that.
can't, we
That's-
cannot use it.
No, but I just wanted to explain
Right.
Yeah,
this.
no, that's a good,
That's my understanding of the
that's
difference.
a good point.
our fees have actually gone up by
Oh.
$2,000 because fiscal year 2017, which is this year, we're paying $26,000. At the vote that was taken on Thursday night there, we would go up to $28,758 because they've raised the fees. And
And is-
then, there's a surcharge to the other towns.
I was gonna ask, is that fixed? Because again, tonight I saw something in the warrant that was another additional charge from Wyndham Solid Waste, which.
That's
know.
the other
Is that
problem,
fixed-
they keep
is that even
changing it.
fixed
They
fee?
keep changing it.
As Cheryl said, what was presented as our budget for the
That's-
year you're talking about,
And I
fiscal
will-
was, I'm confused, was lower than the amount we're actually paying.
Right,
It,
right.
it,
Right.
every time.
And I will
this-
let the remainder four of you know that when the budget, what you guys authorized me to vote on, came up, I voted this down.
Yeah.
I said no,
Mhm.
absolutely not. Because it wasn't,
We
it
were one of the
wasn't
nine.
one,
So
we was
Right,
one of the
they know.
nine that said,
they basically took the 50-50 off the table,
they took the 50-50 and the no MRF off the table.
off the table.
There were a
There
lot of
wasn't
towns,
any options. Doesn't seem like there were options to vote.
no, there was, it was kind of a messy discussion.
But-
So if we look at what we could do, we're stuck for fiscal year 2018 because of the mandatory requirement of a year's notice to get out of the district.
Right.
So we have from now until September of 2017 to explore our options, to
Oh,
look
okay.
at what the cost is to the town, and to have public hearings,
Right.
because it has to come to a town vote, it's not
Yes,
something that
yes,
the select board.
exactly.
It's gotta
I-
be, the
I
select board
understood
can't
that.
decide it, you've got to have by the state standards, and I don't remember the exact wording, but that's where Cheryl,
Right, they
Cheryl and them,
understand.
they know this like the back of their hands.
At the meeting, can you tell me why did Brattleboro have anything? I mean,
I-
Brattleboro was gonna go down in terms of their fiscal responsibility toward this,
I know,
under either of the plans, yet
can't-
they chose not to vote that? I mean,
I,
so they didn't, there was no discussion, there was just a raw vote, they presented this and,
no, there was a lot of discussion, but Brattleboro did not, so the motions were very confusing, like there were motions and amendments and motions to
I
not,
see.
and then Brattleboro basically just said they would go with the 20%, that made sense to them, and
okay.
So I like Troy's idea
I do too.
of investigating what
I
it
do
would
too.
take,
I do
whether,
too.
what the effect of pulling out would be on the tax.
Yeah.
Big,
On the
I-
tax
I
payers.
think
George,
we
the
should-
issue of recycling, what I think we find it perhaps not fair is going to make the nickel stuff a little more bigger range. In that respect, the nickel bottle cans. The other stuff all goes to the same spot anyway.
Right.
It's
Just
they're
hard to
not
get
even
there.
recycling the 3 through 7, they're taking that right down to Triple T and dumping
Yeah,
it
that's
for
what I say, it
trash.
all goes down there anyway, yeah.
No, I like the idea of exploring this conversation outside of them and let's see where we go.
So I would like to thank Sheila because I was
Yes.
in transit and other things, and, I mean, I hated to do it to her, but when I called her, she was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
So, on to the next thing, and thank you again.
Do we need a motion or are we good?
We have nothing to do.
We have nothing to
It's
do.
not final,
It's
the
not final
budget,
until
and
the 5th.
we voted as we said we would on the meeting on the 24th, and pretty much we're now,
Okay, so after this public meeting on the 6th, what, do we have a process laid out or it'll just
Well, we
depend
can't-
on what happens? I mean, like, with
Oh.
the Wyndham Solid Waste, is there, is
they
this
have to
final?
vote their budget final,
They have to
and then
vote their
they'll
budget.
notify the
Okay.
towns.
Right, so if any of the towns or anybody wants to go and complain, you do
Now's
it
the
on that
time.
day
Mhm.
and you complain. Discussions and updates, new benches, Sheila.
Boy, you're busy. This
So-
non-chair stuff is killing you, kid.
I just wanted to thank Doug Hunt for benches that are now outside of the entrance to the town office that are built from some of the wood from the Green River Covered
Oh,
Bridge.
awesome. Thank you, Doug.
And they're out there and they look kind of nice.
Cool.
And they're part of our historical relics. So I just wanted to say
That's
thank you and to note that we have new benches outside.
Next item on the agenda is the 2017 VLCT Municipal Policy as adopted. Richard,
These, these are adopted by the league to go to legislature. Some of them are, and some of them.
VLCT?
Yeah, VLCT. They have all of the different committees and they all get together and come up with these ideas for policies. And I just lost the one I was gonna read about. One of them is, this one passed, making property tax bills and with homestead property tax adjustments public documents, which they're not now. Now, that's not the one I was gonna read, but there was one in here about, allowing select boards to, let me find out, because I'm kinda critical.
I just skimmed them, it seemed like they were trying to make the open meeting law apply to
Well,
the
there was-
number
there-
I brought in with the application.
There was one kind of silly about the nitrogen we're putting in the Long Island Sound. I mean, there's a long ways between here and Long Island Sound. And
A lot of fish.
Yeah. That one kind of got quite a few chuckles before they got too far with it. But municipal and school officials, state administrators, and the legislature should begin as equal partners to analyze the issues within Act 60, 68, and 46 to create a new education finance system that reduces and reforms the property tax burden. That was.
I didn't get all that, so if I,
Well, you my Jägermeister in for you, eh?
can I
And,
borrow this word?
yeah,
Thank you.
and the other one was authorizing select boards to say, you're gonna clean up your yard. And that one was, actually, they passed that. and-
Really?
And I jumped all over that, and I said, that's not right.
You
To
mean
direct
VLCT?
property owners?
VLCT passed it to talk, I mean,
It
as
goes to
a policy
yeah,
to talk about.
everything in that book
is
is passed by the league, it's not passed by legislation.
Right.
But yeah, and there's quite a lot of argument about that, but they passed it, that evidently Bennington has some problems over there with messy homeowners, which I've never seen anything in Guilford. And,
No,
and the select board had this authority to say, you will clean up your yard.
So, if I remember correctly, David Gunn sent out to all the select board members a paper on each one of these policies.
Yes, those are all
So,
out there,
which
yeah,
I confess to not having read,
yeah.
but,
It's
I
good
read some
insomnia
of them.
read.
Yeah.
It's good insomnia
so
reading.
can I put this together
I read
with this
some.
for now, Dick, and then give it back to you later
Yeah,
so I can take
because,
some notes on
like I
it?
said, just understand that there's a couple of them got voted down, I can't remember which ones, but I think the nitrogen and Long Island Sound was voted down, but every committee has different, there's the highway, the transportation, there's.
It's everything from education to correctional facilities, it seems like they are.
Yeah, just
Touch
about.
everything.
Yeah,
So it's interesting to read, to see where the league is going, it's not necessarily what
Yeah,
we're doing or what the legislature will
Yeah,
do,
yeah,
but it's interesting to see what they're thinking about policy-wise.
It was a very interesting meeting.
And did you say that John Bennett was willing to come here and to talk to the towns?
No,
Somebody from the
Jim
league?
Barlow.
Jim
Who
Barlow?
was one of the lead attorneys for the league, and he is now, I'll tell you exactly what he is in a minute. Vermont local government. And what he would do, it would be, if we could get all of the committees in different towns to come together in one big meeting, it would make it, because he's not coming down for nothing, I mean, it's cost. He said the more you have, the cheaper it would be, of course, and,
Thank you.
he's very good.
Is this for me to keep in?
I got, he gave me a handful of them.
Okay.
I think that goes hand in hand with their policy of like trying to increase awareness and education about
Yeah,
open meeting
because
law.
they have changed the open meeting law and that stuff, so there's proposals in there, so. So, yeah, and that's something that to reach out to the other towns and the other, conservation and planning and recreation and get them, police representatives to come to the meeting.
Thanks.
thank you.
Thanks for going to
Thank you,
to
Nick.
us.
Yeah.
Next item for discussion and updates would be town ordinance.
In progress.
Yeah. Gabby and Dick, we understand that it is in progress. Do you guys have an estimated date of completion?
Two major changes, one of them has been made, the other one is down on this side of Blueberry House, the signs that had to be moved there.
Dan said there's only 2 minor changes, but I'm looking at other town ordinances.
And then the rest of it, we gotta go through and
Just to look
just,
through and see
yeah,
if we should
Okay.
add or change anything.
Yep.
I mean, is there an urgency to this? Like
Well,
I
it's
said,
just-
I didn't look at the agenda till 4:30 and didn't realize.
It's just been on the table for a while, and it's kind of a little bit of good housekeeping. Try to get it
I
done.
think
That's
13
all.
I
years.
think I found on the desk some background. Did Kay share all the background?
Nope,
So let me,
just email it over to me.
I
I have
will.
some others that actually people have sent
She
me
had done
about
some, yeah.
other highway
Okay.
ordinances that people actually had sent to me, so.
Yeah.
What would make sense from your perspective?
Exactly,
Not
that's what I was
knowing
getting ready to say.
exactly how much highway ordinance issue needs to be addressed. From your perspective, though, what would be a timeframe that
I'm
would work? Because that's
happy to report back in December.
perfect.
Yeah, we could get
well,
together.
you know something, I would like to be a little more realistic. So for the rest of November, all of December, and some of January, we're gonna be working on budget. So,
Well, is this, I mean,
No.
you all put it on the agenda, so if there's a time, I'm happy to be sensitive to your time needs, but, I mean,
The
You tell
one
me.
critical point with the traffic ordinance is the state police are more apt to enforce stuff if the traffic ordinance dictates. And our traffic ordinance is not just the state police, the sheriff, or anybody. I
Yeah.
mean, the stuff that, I run into, that he wouldn't give a speed ticket because
Right.
the speed sign
Right.
approach is
right,
right.
right.
But this all came
And that's
about,
something,
Yeah, because if
Yeah, yeah, I need to get
technically, they
together.
could, if someone's given a ticket in a 35 zone, and it's not in the traffic ordinance, they can take that to court and fight it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
So-
you wanna make sure that this is correctly, done correctly, so it doesn't come back on a black eye on the town.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
I'm just saying Sheila put it on the agenda, so just if you have a time frame that you're thinking of, it'd be really good for me to know, and I'm happy to work with that.
so it's been on the agenda for a few weeks, actually, and I mean, a few meetings, as far as I know, but I'm not 100% sure of that.
And we've gotta have, what is it, 2 hearings on it after it's done?
Oh, really?
Is it 2, Dick?
a couple hearings, yeah, and then it goes into effect 60 days after, it depends on, you know, I mean, yeah.
So I just think we need to be sensitive to the fact that this issue came up in whatever, July or something like that, and we need to finish it. So if you can finish it in a month, so we can do a public hearing before town meeting or something like that, because we'd have to warn the hearing and blah, blah, all that stuff. I think that'd be great. I'll help if you want. I'll certainly find the materials that I
If you
found.
just send me whatever, I didn't realize
Okay.
Kate had anything, actually.
I think she did do some preliminary research on it, but I'll check and see. Okay, I'll just make sure.
Get a boilerplate from the league.
There's boilerplates and I have some other towns, so we
Yeah.
have plenty to pull from.
Okay.
Okay, next item is resolution for VCDP grant application authority. Signatures required.
So we, at the 24th, at the meeting on the 24th, we agreed that Guilford would be the grant application authority for the CC4G. And this was just, we did not sign the paper, so I think it is
That would be
Dick,
Dick, Gordon,
Gordon,
and
and
you.
me that need to just sign that. That's just a housekeeping matter. And I think we can move on.
Okay. Fiscal year 18 budget work session schedule. We have on the plate for November the 28th from 5:30 to 6:30. December the 12th from 5 to 6:30. January 9th from 5 to 6.
Can you
Sorry.
read those? I don't have
I
any, I
wasn't
didn't realize we
paying
had any
attention.
work schedule scheduled.
We're putting it out there.
No, we actually
Or-
did this in the 24th, and I've already warned it, it's been posted. We talked about these meetings in the 24th, this is just a reminder.
I wasn't here, so at least that's good.
Yeah,
I skipped the meeting.
Oh, wait a minute, maybe they're all in my calendar.
Can you look at your calendar,
You're not in
Gordon?
my calendar yet, I can guarantee you.
The 28th,
Why don't I have?
From what time?
We didn't put them in.
5:30 to 6:30
The 28th,
of November.
Select Board of November.
Oh.
The 28th, that's a Monday, right?
Yeah, it's
It's
before
our
our
next
meeting.
meeting.
Okay, so it's before, I'm sorry.
All
I'm
these,
just gonna
all
write
these
them
dates
down.
are gonna be
They're on your
before
agenda.
our our next,
They're not. in-
before our meeting on
That's
that,
what
on the.
I'm having a problem.
So to be November the
I can send it
28th,
out.
Yeah,
from 5:30 to 6:30.
okay.
December 12th, from 5 to 6:30. January 9th, from 5 to 6:30.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
January 9th,
Yep.
from
5.
5 to 6:30.
Okay.
And January 23rd, from 5 to 6:30. They're all before each select board meeting.
Okay, right. The first one was 5:30.
23rd one,
Yeah.
I think, our stuff has to be in by then. I think we'll be done by the 9th anyway, but yeah, I think the 23rd late.
So I'm just gonna say that this is hugely optimistic because the budget, I've not really done a lot of work on it yet. But that's the big thing for the next 3
But I
weeks.
think,
When does this need to be final to get in properly warned for town
I
meeting?
think the 18th,
And I think
The
the 18th
18th.
and the
The
19th.
18th of,
January,
January
the 23rd is.
the 23rd isn't actually gonna be a work session.
It's the 26th.
26th.
Yeah. January 19th is the last day to file petitions, the 26th is the last day to file the warrant. So that's, I think that's why we have the 23rd on here, to do the final
Okay,
review.
okay.
Well, thank you for having that organized.
You're welcome. You're on camera. Next item is highway. General update, we'll just give one, I'll let you know somewhat what the guys are doing. Danny's on vacation, which he rightly deserves. They're blowing leaves. I think they was finishing up a culvert today. And some other various, getting ready for winter stuff. So, and also on that, the Guilford Vernon Town Line, Lowry Road, Town Highway 36, Town Highway 8. Sheila Morris, imagine that one.
So we have a letter from the State of Vermont Policy Planning and Intermodal Development Division Mapping Section, which informs us that they've reviewed and adjusted the boundary data between Vernon and Guilford, and they have taken 0.18 miles of Class 3 Town Highway from Vernon and added it to Guilford's Class 3 Town Highway 36. Before this is official, they seek concurrence from the towns of Guilford and Vernon that the boundary is an accurate representation of the town line and that the town highway mileage should be moved from Vernon to Guilford. If the towns agree to the change in mileage, assigning 0.18 miles from Vernon to Guilford, this change could be processed as part of the 2017 mileage certificate program. It is essential that each town select board review the boundary that has been mapped and approve this reassignment of the mileage of Lowry Road. I showed it to Danny, he said, yeah.
I saw it when.
And you saw it when it came
online.
in, so.
No, I just saw it online.
So I think we need to, all we need to do is a motion, I think, to approve the reassignment.
With that said, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Excess weight permits, we have none. And on to finance.
I'll make the motion to pay the following payroll and warrants.
You're awesome.
Payroll for the week ending 10/30/2016 in the amount of $10,080.27. Payroll for the week ending 11/6/2016 in the amount of $5,873.19. Payroll for the week ending 11/13/2016 in the amount of $5,654.26. Expense warrant number 1709 in the amount of $23,535.65. And expense warrant DP09 in the amount of $98.50 for a grand total of $45,241.87. And there were no huge bills, just a lot of bills that added up.
Yeah, it's been
That
like
amount.
3 weeks.
I'm out of practice here, man.
So moved. Seconded.
Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, and then, I think it was unanimous. Okay, here's two more.
Communications. Just make sure you sign your name 5 times, please.
We have a letter from the AIDS Project of Southern Vermont thanking us for sending the check for $350 for last year's support. We have an email from Arthur Hamlin advising us of the intent to close the Guilford Country Estates Motorhome Park. The name of the mobile home park is Fidelity Mortgage Group, and they intend to close it no later than May 11th, 2018.
Do you know where that is?
No, I have no idea. I was gonna
Okay,
ask.
It's up off of Partridge Road.
Okay.
You go up to the top of Partridge Road before you crest to go down to GS Precision, there's a
Yeah.
road right there.
It used to be 20 some odd trailers.
Used to be 20-something
Really?
trailer parks in there, yeah.
I read the thing, but I didn't
Yeah.
realize that there were 20.
And we have 3 wastewater permits.
So,
Oh, why didn't you give me the
Just to
wastewater?
pass around in case anybody
Oh,
wants to look
okay.
at them.
Cool.
I haven't, I need to sign them. Okay. And I would like to ask for an executive session.
Did we vote on that? We did, yeah.
We did, we're good.
I'm sure we get to hurt tonight.
So I have a motion to go into executive session with just the select board members,
Personnel matter.
personnel matter.
So much too much.
Second.
I have a
I
second.
move
Move.
at,
7:56.
Did you vote to go into executive session?
no.
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 Do I have a motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none? 7:56.
Yep.
We are out of executive session at 8:13.
So I would just like to say that Jeremiah Sund, who is the Lister clerk, just had his long delayed employee review, and the reviews from everyone across the board were stellar. And we just want to thank him for all of his hard work and for his dedication and commitment to this town. And in order to reflect the great work that he's doing, I'd like to make a motion to increase his wage to $20 an hour, effective immediately.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous?
Aye, sorry.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Good night. Do I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, folks.